Good evening, fam. I just wanted to come on here real quick and share the Good Morning America interview that Attorney Benjamin Crump, alongside Nolan Wells' parents, sat down publicly for the first time, breaking their silence. This interview took place, I believe, on July the 10th with the co-host Michael Strahan from Good Morning America. Take a look.
Friends that Nolan traveled to Horn Island with, they say that he stayed behind voluntarily. Why would he stay behind?
That we cannot answer. I can't fathom why he would.
I don't know why he would. We always taught him to, if you go with a group, you stay with a group. Mm-hmm. Even when he was in college, he would say, Dad, well, we're going to ride down to a party or something in another city. So I always tell him, look, if you go with 5, you come back with 5. Do not separate from your group. Because I always say safety is in numbers. Mm-hmm. And he always said, yes, sir. So he knew to stay with his group. So why would he split from his group? I don't know.
So that would have been unusual for him to split from the group. Yeah. And you said he would always check in with you. Did he check in with you that day?
So that day, no, I don't. But of course, too, they were on the boat. And usually when he is out there, which it's not uncommon, he's, I think, since last year, he's been going there occasionally with his friends. And so it would always just be like, hey, Mom, I'm back, type of thing. But this time there was no call or text from him. It was from his friend.
And then, too, really didn't worry a lot about it because, it was his last weekend to have fun. Yeah. Because that Monday he had to report to school. We was preparing to take him back for camp to prepare for the season. So, we're gonna see. He wanted to have his last little hurrah before he locked down and get ready for the season. Because, like I said, the entire summer he's training. He got more serious. He started to understand what I was trying to tell him about football, not just being fun, but as you get farther in it, it becomes a business. If you want to excel, you have to understand, and you have to understand both at the same time.
And we know, Ben, that you said that you're going to do an independent investigation.
Yes.
And you say you have Nolan's cell phone and messages were deleted. How could you tell messages were deleted?
Well, his parents got the phone back, and that's something that's important, Michael, because they tracked this phone on Life 360.
So Life 360, but when I received the phone call from Warren, I immediately called my friend Tashima, and I said, hey, have you guys seen Nolan? Because her 2 sons, Jalen and Javon, they grew up together. They played City League sports together. When they got into school, they played sports together. And so she was like, hey, okay, the boys were pulling up the location from Snapchat. So the Snapchat location looks completely different than the Life 360 location. So when I pulled up Life 360, it was different. It was showing everywhere the phone had been. I was like, well, it's showing that he's back on land. I'm not. He's like, but no, he didn't come back with us.
Well, how were you able to get the phone?
So we tracked it, and my friend Tashima went and picked it up.
It wasn't like they said we got his phone. They tracked it, and that highlights all these contradictions, Michael. The fact that they said Nolan was talking to a young woman, and she said that he said, I'm going back to get on the boat with the boys. The boys said that he said he was going to stay with her. And so that's an obvious contradiction. And then this video of this, you can hear an argument going where Nolan is saying, give me my freaking phone. What are you freaking doing? And so then his phone ends up missing. I don't know any teenagers, Michael Strahan, who says, if you believe their story, I'm going to stay behind and I'm going to leave my phone. I mean, no young person leaves their cell phone. And so then there's so many things their parents were telling us about, even why didn't his body wash up with the tide on Sunday? Why would it come on Monday? It's not adding up. And that is the problem when you think about the history of Mississippi.
Yeah, so there are so many questions that need to be answered. And is there anything you'd like people to know about Nolan? What would you like them to know about your son?
No,
It's okay.
Nolan, take your time. Nolan was very loving. He was liked by all. It was not a friend that he couldn't make.
No, we'll be right back with more for the parents of Nolan Wells and attorney Ben Crump. We're back now on GMA with the parents of Nolan Wells, Christina and Elmore Wansley. And I want you to please continue to tell us what you want the world to know about your son.
So Nolan was just like this bright light, right? Walk into a room, his smile, his energy was just so infectious. Like it's almost like he drew you into him. And he was just one of those people, like he always wanted everyone to be included. He didn't want anyone to feel left out. I remember one of his teachers emailing us. I can't remember what grade he was in, but basically it was math class. They had a special needs student, and she asked a question, and Nolan got everyone to put their hands down because he wanted that student to answer. And so the student answers the question, and she was like, Christine, the classroom, Nolan went crazy, and everyone else started going crazy, just celebrating that child. Making them feel included. And that was the person he was. Like he loved everyone. And I always told Nolan, like, you have to be careful when you have such a big heart like that. I love that God blessed you with that, but you have to be careful with that because that it's not always returned, that type of love. But he was just genuinely a good person. Like I always say, all the best parts of me are with him.
And Dad, anything else you want to add?
It's just, he's going to be really missed. I know a lot of his teammates, they all look to him as a leader. He's more like a silent leader. Not real big on words, more on action, which is kind of like I was. I really wasn't real big on talking. I really wanted to show you, and you follow me, and people followed him. And it's gravitated. He put in the work, he worked hard, and he knew he was focused on what he wanted. And he wanted to make life better for, his family. He wanted to have his own family. He used to say, Dad, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this. I said, well, son, you got to take it one step at a time. Slow down, let's go, let's walk this thing out. Let's train, let's sign our deals, let's make these teams, make these camps, put the work in, and everything else will work out. Even his baby brother, their bond got even stronger because now I have a big brother that he's finna do something, so now I want to outdo that. So his focus and his confidence has got even better. So I was looking forward to both of them having outstanding years.
Seasons,
He seemed like he inspired in the home, and he inspired outside of the home. And Attorney Crump, where do we go from here? What's next?
Well, the deleted messages that Christina was going to briefly touch on, we want to get the phone and figure that out.
Backtrack on that. When we finally got his phone, me and my sister went through the phone. We went in his Snapchat. He had 2 accounts, absolutely nothing. It wasn't even 24 hours, which is how long videos and pictures stay in Snapchat. And I was just like, that can't be. Like, I've seen Nolan whenever he snaps, like when he goes and he's having fun, like he does videos, like there was absolutely nothing, no saved videos. And even my sister was like, yeah, that's suspicious,
Michael, we having an independent autopsy done at the behest of his family. Colin Kaepernick helped pay for the independent autopsy. We flew his body up from Mississippi to D.C. because they wanted an autopsy done by a person with no interaction with the Mississippi law enforcement, because there's an issue of trust here that is really important. And the fact that they keep trying to say, well, suggesting it was a drowning, but nobody out there reported him drowning, it's not adding up, Michael Strahan. It is not adding up.
And honestly, we are doing this because at the end of the day, I would hope any parent would fight for their kids to find out if anything happened, what did happen. So we just want honesty and transparency. We want a thorough investigation. We want that same respect that would be given to anybody else, and that's it. We just want answers.
Well, we really appreciate all of you being here. We hope you get the answers that you deserve to have, and we hope you get the closure that you need. Thank you all for being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mike.
Now, after I looked at this interview in its entirety, I learned a few things. One is pay attention to everything that's said. If you listen closely, you know, the parents expressed their concerns with the deleted messages. I've heard a ton of stories about, you know, the deleted social media posts from Snapchat that he had. They say he was a very, you know, enthusiastic kid who was always on his phone, always taking pictures, always doing videos with his friends. And I'm just like, why is it taking so long for Mississippi to arrest these punk kids that were his so-called friends? And another thing you have to look at, why did they lawyer up so quickly? It has been now 11 days, y'all. 11 days since no arrests have been made in that town. And everybody is upset. The whole world is upset. Hell, I'm upset. I'm angry as hell about it, if you ask me, because I don't care what nobody says. We all know what happened. We all know it's not an accidental drowning. In my opinion, I feel like this was premeditated murder. And everybody is keeping their, you know, mouth shut because they don't want to say nothing. They don't want to be involved out of fear, or, you know, if they do come forward, like some of these phony baloney friends, the black kids that I've been seeing on these interviews, like the Javon guy and the other one, Trayston, who they said they never met, by the way. They don't even know who the hell Trayston is. It just sounds like everyone is just looking for shine. Everybody wants media attention. You know, I've seen numerous people talking about they've been speaking with TMZ and CNN. I just saw a whole special I'm about to drop probably in the next couple of hours of the longtime childhood friend named Javon with CNN. And there was a lot of telltale signs in that interview that they recently did with Laura Coates, who was a black journalist for CNN. And the thing that I don't understand for the life of me is, why don't they just sit down and interview the fucking white boys? Interview the white boys that was involved. Oh, but wait, they have lawyers, so they can't talk all of a sudden. And now they're protected from being, you know, investigated per se, and providing some type of testimony. It's all BS. The whole system is BS. And I feel like nothing is going to get done, unfortunately, the way everything is looking. I did a deep dive on the whole grand jury process. And the way the grand jury works, if you're not familiar with the justice system, they basically hold a court hearing. It's a secret hearing. It's not open to the public. That's the worst part. So you don't know what these people are coming up with. You don't know what evidence they're compiling or cooking up to say they have enough to prosecute somebody in the first place. And whatever is determined during that grand jury selection, when they select random people to, you know, go over the evidence that they're given, then they have the power to say yay or nay, we have a case. And then they go after and they indict whoever the suspects are that are involved. Now, another thing that really pisses me off even more is the fact that I feel like a lot of these content creators across social media are going to solve this case quicker than the actual police themselves. I've seen so many updates, so many TikToks of people literally pointing out evidence, and none of this has came to light in the media. There have been pictures swirling of a pool party that he was supposedly at. People are saying that they adjusted the time and dates on the bottom of that pool party photo that Nolan was on. People are saying that they're trying to cover up that part, and they say that he possibly may have been beaten to death by a bunch of white boys, and they just stood by and watched. Allegedly. We don't know if this is true, but allegedly, through the grapevine, a lot of people on social media are saying that that boy was beaten to death. And I believe it. And I believe that wherever they harmed him, they basically hid him. And then when they realized people were looking for him, they got scared and dumped him back on that island. That's my theory. I feel like they held him somewhere in a boat or somewhere in that house, wherever he was, when they got through with him. And then they dumped his body back on Horn Island to make it seem like he washed ashore. And another thing, if you paid attention to Nolan's father, what he said as soon as they found out that Nolan went missing, him and the coach went out literally that same night looking for him, and the next day, along with the Coast Guard, along with all these other resources like nonprofits like the United Cajun Navy, searching for Nolan. And for 2 days straight, you can't tell me that he ain't washed ashore. That just tells me everything I needed to know. So yeah, if you pay attention to all of the facts that are presented, you will clearly see this is a mass cover-up. And everybody that's involved is in it. I just came across another video. It was a long video. It's like 20 minutes long. It was a former judge. It was a black man. His name is Judge Carlos Moore. You can look him up. He did like a 20-minute video. It's way too long, in my opinion, speaking about the injustices of the Mississippi law enforcement and the actual officials like the DA. He explained that the district attorney down there is very corrupt. She has numerous cases. It's a female. And they're unsolved murders of multiple black men. It's not just Nolan. So when I found that out, I said, oh, now we getting somewhere, because now it seems like more is being shed to light on all the corruption that's happening in that town. So that told me everything I needed to know. And it's not just that town, it's just Mississippi overall, correction. He was explaining that she had several cases of black men who were either found somewhere unalived, or they were supposedly hanging themselves and they called it suicide, and it's not true. And that's pretty much what he was saying. He was exposing that it doesn't even matter if they have a grand jury, because he's seen a grand jury multiple times in that state and nothing has been resolved, even with a grand jury. So I said, okay, I don't know what it's going to take to actually bring some action or actually see some justice down there, but this is crazy. This is like literally like civil rights movement stuff. This reminds me of the 60s. When, Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X and them will stand on the front lines marching and stuff, and it's sad. It's sickening. And it also reminds me of Emmett Till. Y'all remember Emmett Till. If you read your history books, you know who I'm talking about. He was a 14-year-old black boy in Mississippi, same state. This is over 50, 60 years ago, where he was lynched for whistling at a white woman. And they lied and acted like he whistled at a white woman. He didn't even whistle at a white woman. They just picked on him simply because of the color of his skin. They saw that he was black. So the good old boys hung him up, beat him to death. And his mother, Mamie Till, had an open casket funeral just to show how badly her son was beaten to death. And it just goes to show you, like, none of this mess is ever going away. Racism is never going to disappear. But it's just very unfortunate with all the mounting amount of evidence that's being presented. Nobody has still been arrested. This is terrible. And there's another similar case I'm going to also drop a post on about a black boy who was found in a lake in North Texas, in Dallas. He apparently was unalived mysteriously, similar to Nolan. But then 3 months later, they found out a white boy was involved. They arrested him once they got enough evidence, and now he's about to go to prison for unaliving an innocent black man. And it just goes to show you, it don't matter where you are, it don't matter who you are, racism is here to stay, and it sucks. But you just have to be careful. You got to keep your head on the swivel, and you have to be very mindful of who you call your friends. I learned this as I'm digging and going through multiple videos and stuff about this whole case. But y'all let me know y'all's thoughts in the comments below. I'm sorry this video was longer than usual. I wasn't planning on making a 20-minute plus video, but I just had to say my 2 cents on this whole situation.